Hi friends, welcome! Did you know there are special lore voice lines hidden in Apex Legends Season 5? I'm going to tell you how to hear the rare lore voice lines and what they mean in Apex Legends Season 5. They're really helping us to learn more about the legends, anything from Gibby's dark past to something Wattson wasn't supposed to see. By the way, a subscriber actually suggested I make a video on this, so if you guys have any other ideas for stuff you'd like to see in a video, then let me know in the comments down below, or hop onto my Discord. I'll put a link in the description below, and then you can chat to me and any other members of my community directly. To start with, let's look at Gibby's lore voice line. To activate them, you'll need to go to the area near where Thunderdome used to be, so you know that bit between Gauntlet and Salvage? If you just go there, he should automatically start saying these voice lines. By the way, just for reference, for all of these, I've combined them into one continuous. Actually, when you go, you'll probably hear different parts of these, so you might need to go a few times to hear the whole thing. So let's take a look at what Gibby has to say.
Keep expecting to see Thunderdome. First job, first love. The world keeps spinning in place. Wish time would do the same, my brothers. Got a lot of memories of Skull Town and Thunderdome. Did a lot of growing up here. Man, this one hurts, brothers. Don't think I'll ever get used to not seeing Thunderdome. Feels like yesterday I met Nick here. Until we meet again, Nicholas. I hope you have forgiven me. Feels like yesterday I met Nick here. Until we meet again, Nicholas. I hope you have forgiven me.
So we know Gibraltar used to work in Thunderdome, which was like a coliseum for battles before the Apex Games. In these voice lines we hear Gibraltar mention many things about his life before the Apex Games, particularly Nicholas, who was actually his boyfriend before the Apex Games. We know in part of Gibraltar's backstory that one day he took his father's bike for a joyride with Nicholas, they got in some trouble and ended up being trapped by a deadly mudslide. His father rescued them, but in the process he lost an arm, and that kind of sacrifice is what turned Gibraltar into essentially what he is today, the kind of legend that he is today, protecting others. But we also know that there was kind of some bad blood with Nicholas, and he's maybe not friends or not close to Nicholas anymore. We don't quite know why, what happened, if it was because of this accident, but I'm sure we'll get to see as more lore comes out, and maybe we'll get to see Nicholas one day. Next, let's look at my favourite one, and this is an interaction between Wraith and Wattson, and it's probably one of the best interactions we've heard so far in terms of voice lines. To get it to work, you need to go to labs with a Wraith and a Wattson, and then again they'll just automatically start speaking. So let's listen to what they've got to say to each other.
Wraith, when I was a girl, I saw a ghost here. Nobody believes me though.
Ghosts aren't real, Wattson. It's probably just your imagination.
You know, Wraith, I once saw a ghost here. I'll tell you about her someday.
Didn't expect you to believe in ghosts, Wattson.
The ghost is real. She attacked me down in that lab.
I told you, there's no such thing as... Wait. We should talk more about this later.
I swear, I saw the apparition. She had dead eyes and appeared out of nowhere.
I promise you, Natalie, you didn't see it. Hold up. We should discuss this later.
Look, Wraith, it's where I saw my ghost. So glad you believe me now.
Now that we know the truth, let's keep it to ourselves. Focus on the match.
Wraith, we can go say hi to my ghost. Now that you believe me.
Subtle. Let's keep it between us for now. We'll talk about it later.
So this is all about Wattson seeing Ghost Wraith. Now we know Wattson grew up around King's Canyon, and we know her father used to work for the Syndicate. So she would have seen a lot of Syndicate and perhaps Ares Division activities going on, and from these voice lines we hear she saw something she perhaps shouldn't have. She saw Ghost Wraith. Now we know there were two Wraiths at one time in this other dimension. One from another dimension that was travelling in search of Amir Singh in some kind of revenge that she wanted. Now Ghost Wraith ends up being shot and comes face to face with Amir Singh. She decides to stay, and she gives the other Wraith, the Wraith of that dimension, her portal technology, and that Wraith then jumps through the portal and ends up in our dimension. So basically the Wraith we have in our dimension is not the same as that original Ghost Wraith. And I'm pretty sure Wraith doesn't want the Syndicate and their allies to know about this, because that could cause some deep trouble for her. But it now turns out that Wattson also witnessed that, and is now able to joke about it. definitely go check out the Void Walker cinematic. I think that will give you some good context for what Wattson might have seen. I think it makes sense to look at Wraith's interaction with the charge towers next. To hear this one, you need to go to the charge towers. I find the ones near or in Capacitor seem to work best. They always trigger this voice line for Wraith, so you need to make sure you've got a Wraith with you when you go to the charge towers.
I felt this before. This energy. These towers. I understand now. They used these charge towers to power the island for their experiments. For our experiments.
So this piece of lore is all around the experiments done on Wraith, exploring interdimensional travel. As you know, Wraith was a scientist that did experiments on herself in Singh Labs with her partner Amir Singh, and it was called Project Wraith, but it went wrong. She started hearing voices in her head and going a bit crazy, and he ended up becoming obsessed with the experiment and kept Wraith captive, continuing the experiments on her kind of against her own will. Go check out the Void Walker cinematic to learn a bit more about this as well, but basically the charge towers powered those experiments, and it kind of brings back hard memories for Wraith. Next up, we've got some great lore for Bangalore that explores a bit more of Bangalore's history and particularly some of the Titanfall universe backstory for Apex Legends. To hear this voice line, you need to be in around Labs and Capacitor. Basically, if you go through Labs all the way to Capacitor and kind of hang around the charge towers in Capacitor, you should be able to hear most of these voice lines for Bangalore.
Word on Gridiron was that these charge towers were meant to supply power to multiple planets one day. Guess we'll never know now. All this IMC research that could have helped the Outlands, buried under dirt. What a waste. Makes sense they'd have a research facility down here, especially after what happened with Iris. A lot of people trying to make the world a better place down here. But we're not supposed to talk about that. Not every IMC soldier was fighting for the wrong reasons. Some of us were doing some good out there. They want to paint us with the same brush. We're IMC, like that's one hive mind. It's not. We're people too. They forget that.
So this piece of lore plays on the background of Bangalore's time in the IMC a lot, and as we know, that's very prominent in the Titanfall universe. And we never actually saw Bangalore in Titanfall, in the Titanfall games at least, but obviously we know about the IMC from those times, and Bangalore used to be a fighter for their cause, but I think these voice lines really help in showing that Bangalore is actually a good person, because IMC were the bad guys basically, or are the bad guys in the Titanfall universe. But Bangalore was just a soldier, and she's a good person. What she's trying to explain in these voice lines is that she didn't really agree or even know about what's going on at the same time with the Ares division, the experiments, all of the bad stuff happening. She wasn't really aware of, but she definitely doesn't agree with it. Also, if you're wondering what Gridiron is when she mentions it in the voice line, go back and listen to it again if you missed it, because it's quite a good piece of lore. Basically, this is where Bangalore is from. It was a heavily militarized place, and that's probably why she got drawn into being a soldier. It's a good thing to know because potentially we might be seeing it as a map in the future. Probably not for Season 6, but maybe the next map after whatever's coming in Season 6. Finally, we've got a special Bloodhound lore voice line. These are a bit more random, but if you go to the places where the Leviathans used to be, so behind Market or that one kind of near Containment, then you'll hear this voice line. Let's take a listen to what Bloodhound has to say.
Something new will grow here, and the hollows the giants left. This Leviathan was frightened, and its mate was sure to follow. We may battle without the fear of the giants, but I will miss their calls. This island saddens me. I welcomed the giants' call. The Leviathans were disturbed by the tilling of this island, or the explosion. Here Isla drove the giants away, raw electricity beneath their feet.
As we know, Bloodhound is all about being one with nature. Bloodhound in these voice lines is basically explaining why the Leviathans are no longer in the centre of the map, and Bloodhound's basically saying the electricity from the charge towers and maybe the explosion and all of the crazy things that have gone on in Kings Canyon because of the IMC, the Syndicate, the Legends, all of that activity has kind of scared away the Leviathans, and they just don't want any part of that kind of environment. The electricity is putting them off. All of these things are basically affecting nature, and this is what Bloodhound's really picking up on in these voice lines. And we know Bloodhound's upbringing is all about being one with nature, the hunt, and Bloodhound's basically just making note of the effect of everything going on the outside world more than just on the Legends So it's a really valid point by Bloodhound, and it's really good to understand a bit more about why the map has changed so much and why the animals and the different environments have all changed. And there you have it, some really great lore in these very simple voice lines. I'm certain we'll see more lore explained through voice lines in Season 6 for sure. We'll get to learn more about each character, which I'm really looking forward to. So do listen to these voice lines, they're a really great way of understanding the characters and just becoming more immersed in the game really. Thank you so much for watching, I appreciate all the support. Please feel free to like and subscribe, it's going to help me out a lot, and I'll catch you later.